Funny thing about endings, people think they're supposed to be clean, neat, like the last page of a storybook where everything wraps up and all the good little characters get their happy little endings. But real endings, they're messy, they're loud, they scream, they bleed. And most of all, they require someone to step up and take the blame, the bullets, the burden, while the rest hide behind excuses and safety nets made of silence. You see, the world doesn't fall apart because evil wins. It falls apart because the ones chosen to stop it sit down. You wake up one day and the sky feels heavier, not darker, just heavier, like it knows something you don't, like it's watching you, waiting, smirking behind a veil of clouds because it saw the script before you even opened your eyes. You think it's just a rough morning. Maybe the coffee didn't hit right, maybe the people around you are off. Or maybe, just maybe, you're not meant to wake up easy anymore. Comfort was for yesterday, and yesterday's gone. You were not chosen for comfort. You were chosen for confrontation. That's not some poster slogan. That's not the kind of line they give you in pretty packages with glittering applause. Know this one. It's raw. It bleeds. It demands. It laughs in your face while handing you the weight of something no sane person would want. But you're not here because you're sane. See, the real ones don't get a choice. They get a calling. It doesn't show up with trumpets or gentle light. No, it shows up as rejection. It shows up as betrayal. It shows up when you walk into the room and suddenly everyone's skin crawls because they feel you're about to rip the mask off everything they've built. You weren't built to fit, you were built to expose. That's confrontation. Not with fists, but with presence. Not with rage, but with unwavering clarity that slices through the fog like it was begging to be torn. People think leadership means being in front. That's cute. Real leadership means walking through hell while everyone else is still asking if it's hot. You don't lead because you're smarter. You lead because you're willing to burn. You're willing to speak when silence would have let you stay safe. You're willing to be hated just to keep the truth breathing. You were made to carry confrontation like a weapon, not to hurt but to unmask. And that's why you scare them. That's why you're alone. That's why they whisper when you pass. Because deep down they know you see what they're trying not to. And worse, you might say it out loud, but don't expect applause. Oh no, don't expect hugs and hallelujahs when the building starts shaking. When the system starts gasping for air because you refuse to pretend anymore, you won't get thanks. You'll get blame. You'll get fear dressed up as morality. You'll get cold stares and closed doors and people praying you fall. And the ones who love you, they'll beg you to stop. Not because they hate you, but because watching someone step into fire makes people remember their own cowardice. You weren't chosen for ease. You were chosen to disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. That's a war, a psychological riot. You were built to hold a mirror and not blink, to walk through the lie and not bow, to confront the noise with a silence so loud it leaves the liars trembling. That's not inspiration. That's annihilation. That's dismantling the illusion brick by brick with nothing but your spine and your refusal to shut up. And maybe, just maybe, it gets to you sometimes. Maybe you ask why it had to be you. Why you can't just live like them, sleep like them, smile like them. The answer is simple. You weren't made to sleep. You were made to wake others. And that is a violent, lonely, divine assignment. But remember this when everything in you wants to retreat, when the pressure feels like a scream under your skin, when your silence feels safer than your voice. That's when you know the confrontation is working. That's when you know the illusion is cracking. That's when you remember you weren't chosen to blend in. You were chosen to be the rupture, the shift, the interruption that they never saw coming. Because comfort builds kingdoms, but confrontation brings them down, and you were made to lead them way to the end. Betrayal. Now that's a word with some flavor. Cuts sharper than any knife, doesn't it? And what's funny, so funny, it's tragic, is how the ones you die for are the first ones who toss the rope around your neck and tighten it with a smile. Oh, but it doesn't happen in the thunderstorm of chaos. No, it happens slowly, politely, with words dipped in sugar and eyes too kind to doubt. Betrayal isn't loud. It's silent. It's the softest stab, the quietest earthquake. And you never saw it coming. Because you trusted, because you loved. Because you were blind enough to believe everyone you fed would feed you back. So now you're standing in the ashes of what you thought was loyalty, looking around like a fool in a circus, wondering why you're like us. Here's the twist: betrayal was never the enemy. It was the confirmation. Confirmation that you outgrew the room, that the masks were slipping, that you were too loud for their small games. The ones who betray you are often the ones who saw your light first, and it burned their illusions, didn't it? Made them squirm, made them jealous, made them terrified of what you might become if you actually knew how powerful you were. That's why they smiled while setting traps. That's why they clapped while pushing you off cliffs. It was never about you being wrong. It was about you being too right, too aware, too awake. You start seeing things for what they are, and suddenly everyone's uncomfortable. Because truth is a nasty little thing. It doesn't knock. It kicks down doors. And most people would rather stay inside their pretty cages than walk into a world where nothing is safe, nothing is promised, and everything must be faced head on, so they betray you. Not because you failed, but because you didn't. Because you stayed real when they sold their souls for the illusion. Because you kept showing up with integrity when they were busy painting fake smiles over their rot. And now look at you, bleeding, bruised, laughing. Because deep down you knew this day would come. You just hoped it wouldn't be them. But it was always going to be them. The ones closest. Always cut the deepest. Why? Because they knew where to aim, but here's the punchline: betrayal is a gift. Oh, they won't tell you that in school. They won't put that on a coffee mug. But it's true. It strips away the fantasy. It clears the noise. It hands you the raw truth, unfiltered, uncensored, and soaked in fire. It forces you to look at who you really are without their praise, without their approval, without their fake love. And what you find in that rubble is terrifying but freeing. Because now you know. Now there's no going back. You don't belong to them anymore. You never did. You were just playing along because it felt safe. Now you get to rebuild. Now you get to create without asking for permission. Now you get to lead without needing their applause. They betrayed you because they were never meant to stand where you're going. Their role was to push you to the edge so you could learn to fly. And fly you will. Not out of revenge. Not out of spite, but because it's the only way left. You've seen the truth. You've tasted the dirt. You've survived the silence. Now it's time to turn the betrayal into fuel, the loss into clarity, the pain into purpose. They wanted you quiet. They wanted you broken. They wanted you questioning your worth. But what they didn't see coming was this: betrayal didn't destroy you. It revealed you. And now you walk with eyes wide open, hands unshackled, heart armored in fire. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be unstoppable. And that's the real reason they turned on you. They saw the storm coming. They knew it had your name written all over it. So they tried to stop it before it began, but storms don't ask for permission. They don't wait for approval. They arrive, they wreck, they rebuild. And you're the eye of it all. Silent. Still dangerous, because now you've seen it. Now you know what betrayal tastes like. And once you've tasted that, you're not afraid of anything anymore. You ever notice how the world hands out blueprints? Be like this, think like that, walk here, don't talk there, eat this, don't say that. And somewhere in that tangled little maze, you start thinking maybe they're right. Maybe I should tone it down. Maybe I should shrink a little. Maybe I should fit in. The sweet perfume of mediocrity disguised as normal. But here's the thing: some of us were never made to walk straight lines or blindside the lines I'd glide. Follow the arrows on the ground. Some of us were made to break pattern. Not because we want chaos, but Because we are the pattern breakers, there's something deliciously terrifying about walking into a room where nobody understands your fire. They'll smile, sure. They'll pretend. But deep down, they're watching you like you're holding a grenade. Because your presence disrupts the script, your truth rips apart the curtain they've been hiding behind. People fear what they can't control. And baby, you're not meant to be controlled, so here you are. A walking contradiction. Quiet but dangerous. Kind but untamed. You speak truth in a world addicted to lies, and you wonder why you're the outcast. But that's the cost of being real in a cardboard society. They'll label you, shame you, exile you, all because you refuse to play along. Funny, isn't it? The ones who say they love the truth are the first to run from it when it doesn't flatter their fantasy. You weren't made to please. You weren't born to be palatable. You were made to disturb what's comfortable, to walk into spaces and shift the temperature without even trying. You're not loud, you're undeniable. You don't fit in, you stand out. And while they try to understand you with logic, you move with something much older: instinct, vision, madness, the sacred kind. And the more you try to be like them, the more you feel like you're dying. That itch in your soul, that ache in your chest, that's the sound of a soul trying to break out of the cage you agreed to. You can dress it up in nice words and polite behavior, but deep down you know this isn't it. This box they built, it doesn't hold your truth. It never did. And maybe it's time you stop apologizing for not being small. They want you to shrink because your full size reminds them of their compromise. They want you to be quiet because your voice echoes in their empty choices. But you were made for war. Not the kind with guns or swords. The kind where you walk into battle every day with your truth, your scars, your wild, untamed fire. And you don't flinch. You've got a storm inside you that can't be silenced, a fire that's not waiting for permission. And every time you dim yourself to make others comfortable, you betray the very reason you were sent here. You weren't sent to blend in. You were sent to call things out, flip tables, question everything, and rebuild it from the ashes. You've spent too long trying to be digestible for people who were never supposed to taste your truth. Too long wrapping your gold in cheap wrappers so they'd accept you. And what did it get you? Emptiness. Frustration. Silence. It's time to rip the mask off, set fire to the act, and let the world choke on your realness. Because they need it, even if they hate it. Let them whisper. Let them point. Let them laugh. They laughed at every prophet before the storm came. They mocked every chosen one before the shift arrived. They always do. Until the sky cracks open and the rules change. And suddenly the same voice they mock becomes the only one that makes sense. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be undeniable. You're not here to blend in. You're here to mark territory. The world doesn't need more actors. It needs revolutionaries. People who aren't afraid to say, I see the system and I reject it. People who walk different, think different, love different, and burn with a purpose they didn't ask for but carry anyway. They'll call you kanikar. They always do. Until they need your clarity, they'll call you too much. Until they need your power, they'll call you dangerous. Because you are dangerous to lies, dangerous to illusions, dangerous to the game. And the beautiful part is, you didn't come to play. You came to break the whole board and build anew to one out of truth, grit, and blood-soaked vision. So no more shrinking. No more apologies. No more second-guessing your fire because it scorches their comfort zones. You were born to shatter, to shake, to disrupt. You were born for war of a different kind. One, where silence is the weapon and presence is the bullet and truth is the bomb they never saw coming. Let's talk about timing, shall we? Not the kind you see on clocks ticking away like polite little soldiers. No, I'm talking about divine timing. The kind that doesn't come with notifications or warnings or friendly calendar reminders. The kind that creeps in when you least expect it, wearing chaos as perfume and silence as a mask. You ever felt that? That itch in the air like something's coming but you don't know what. Like the walls are breathing different, like time itself is holding its breath just for you. That's not anxiety, sweetheart. That's alignment. That's the universe flipping the board and sliding your piece into position. But here's the catch. Timing doesn't ask for your permission, doesn't care about your mood, doesn't wait until you're ready. You think you've got time to prepare, to plan, to script a perfect response when the shift comes knocking. But the shift doesn't knock. It kicks the door in, laughs at your routine, throws your calendar out the window and says, let's dance. And if you're not tuned in, if you're too busy listening to noise, you'll miss it. You'll blink, and it'll pass like a shadow in the fog. People like to say everything happens for a reason. Cute. But what they forget is sometimes that reason wears fangs. Sometimes that reason feels like loss, sounds like silence, looks like betrayal. And yet behind it, timing, precision, a higher madness weaving chaos into clarity while you're too busy complaining that the pieces don't fit. But they fit. Oh, they do, just not in the picture you thought you were building. See, timing ain't about comfort. It's about collision. About breaking you in all the right places until what's fake falls off and what's real remains. You don't grow in convenience, you grow in pressure. You evolve in pain. And timing, divine timing, it doesn't give a damn about how smooth you want the ride. It's trying to position you, not pamper you. So many people miss the shift because they're stuck waiting for confirmation, waiting for a sign, a clue, a neon light that says now. But shifts don't come with labels. They come in disguise. They come as betrayal, as breakdown, as silence, as loss. And if you're too emotionally attached to the form it used to be in, you'll resist the transformation it's bringing you now. You'll fight the very thing that's meant to free you. They told you to trust the process. But they didn't tell you the process would feel like drowning, like walking blindfolded through fire, like losing everything that made sense. That's the part they skipped. But if you've got the guts to stay still in that storm, if you can stay present when everything screams for you to panic, then you'll feel it, the shift. The moment when everything cracks open, not for destruction, but for rebirth. And no, you won't feel ready. That's the trick. Readiness is a lie dressed in caution tape. You're not supposed to feel ready. You're supposed to feel raw, alive, uncertain. That's how you know it's real. That's how you know it's now. Because the old you is suffocating, and the new you hasn't fully grown teeth yet, but the clock doesn't care. The shift is happening with or without your permission. People around you won't get it. They'll tell you to slow down, to be practical, to wait for the right time. But they don't hear the clock in your spirit. They don't feel the urgency in your bones. You weren't built to wait. You were built to move, to leap, to feel the ground shake and laugh because you already knew it was coming. You've been feeling the pull for a while now. That whisper that won't shut up. That tug behind your ribcage. When you try to play small. That restlessness that hits when everything looks fine on the outside but feels dead on the inside. That's not boredom, that's the signal. That's timing telling you get up and move. It's your turn now. But if you're too busy trying to be safe, you'll miss it. You'll sleep through your own awakening. And here's the wild part: when the shift happens, it won't make sense at first. It'll look like everything's fallen apart, like you've been abandoned, like nothing's working. But that's how alignment feels when you're still wearing the wrong skin. That's how transition sounds when your ears are still tuned to old patterns. It's not punishment. It's preparation. But you've got to be willing to lose what's familiar to gain what's divine, because when timing hits, it's not just a moment. It's a mirror. It shows you who you really are, what you've been hiding from, what you're capable of when there's no more hiding, no more waiting, no more pretending to be asleep in a world that's on fire. You ever realize how funny it is that people beg for truth but scream when they hear it? They'll light candles, pray fast, journal under moonlight, chant in the dark, begging for clarity, for vision, for purpose. Then when it knocks, oh, now they're not home. Now they've got their eyes shut and fingers in their ears, humming cute little affirmations to drown out the answer they already know. Because the truth is inconvenient, and clarity That's not a blessing. No, 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 it's a blade. And once you've seen what's really going on, you can't unsee it. You remember the ones you call friends, family, love of your life. Ah yes, they clapped when you crawled but got quiet when you stood. Why? Because your growth threatened their comfort. You becoming something more exposed how little they ever intended to move. See, they liked you as long as you stayed small, predictable, apologetic. They loved the version of you that didn't shine too loud, didn't speak too sharp, didn't rise too fast. But now you're talking different. Now you walk like you've seen something they haven't. Now your silence is louder than their gossip, and your peace makes their chaos look cheap. So what do? They test you. Subtle at first. A little shade here. A backhanded compliment there. A reminder of who you used to be, just in case you forgot. They poke, they prod, trying to shrink you back into the version of you that made them feel big. But the thing is, you're not them anymore, are you? And they know it. That's why they start to panic. That's why the masks slip. That's why the ones you love like oxygen turn into strangers wearing familiar faces. And here comes the irony. The betrayal didn't break you. It revealed you. It showed you who was never real. It filtered the crowd. Pain has a way of cleaning the lens, doesn't it? Suddenly you see who only clapped when they were center stage, who only checked in to collect gossip, who only prayed for you in public so they could watch you fall in private. Funny how that works. You thought you were losing people. No, darling, you were being shown who was never yours. Growth doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't care who gets uncomfortable. It arrives like a fire, burning bridges, patterns, and illusions all in one go. You think you're just going through a rough patch, but really you're being upgraded. And upgrades come with isolation. Loneliness isn't punishment, it's preparation. You're not being abandoned. You're being repositioned. And the crowd can't follow you where you're going, because they don't have the vision for what you carry. You ever wonder why you feel too much? Why every room feels too loud, every conversation too empty, every smile too? It's because your soul's been waking up, and it hurts, doesn't it? To outgrow people you swore were forever. To outlive the labels they stuck on you when you were still figuring out your name. But that's the price of becoming. You lose the version of yourself that needed their approval, and you gain the version that only answers to truth. You don't need closure. You need clarity. And clarity doesn't come from begging for explanations. It comes from watching patterns, from paying attention, from realizing that peace doesn't beg, it walks. That real doesn't flinch when questioned. That love, the real kind, won't make you shrink to fit into broken frames. And here's the wild part, they'll come back. Not because they love you, but because they miss the access.